Submitting your general distinguishing number application via eLicensing. So your application for your dealer's license must be submitted electronically through the eLicensing system. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicle no longer accepts mailed-in applications. So the online application submission must be completed in full, notarized, and electronically signed by at least one owner. Failure to complete any portion of the application will prevent your application from being submitted. So this system basically will not allow you to make mistakes. Correct dealer license applications will allow the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles to grant your license in a much quicker manner. Mistakes on the dealer application submission can lead to substantial delays of license approval. When you complete the application, you are answering each question correctly, not only for yourself, but for each owner and partner whose name appears on the license. The person whom completes and signs the application is representing all owners truthfully. You must complete all information truthfully and correctly. Filing false statements of material fact on any dealer license application can lead to the denial of the initial application, possible suspension of the dealer license in the future, and may even lead to possible criminal charges. Be sure all the information you enter on the dealer application is truthful and correct. A correct dealer license application will lead to much quicker dealer license approval by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. You're going to need the following information before you submit your application through the e-licensing system. So many of these subjects we're going to cover throughout the class, but you're going to need your Secretary of State number that you gain when you register with the Secretary of State's office, and this is called your SOS number. I'll show you how to get that here in just a little while. You're going to need your employment identification number for the business or Social Security number if you're operating as a sole proprietor. Any previous general distinguishing numbers that you or any partners have held in the past. You're going to have your dealer surety bond number, the name of your bonding company, and the effective and expiration dates of your bond. You'll need your converter license number if you're applying for an independent mobility motor vehicle general distinguishing number as well. A scanned copy of all corporate and registration papers that are filed with the Texas Secretary of State's office, a scanned copy of your assumed name certificate for each DBA or what you're going to be doing business as, and we'll cover that extensively here in just a little while as well. You'll need scanned copies of a driver's license or a passport or an official ID card for each person whose name's on the license, a scanned copy of your dealer surety bond. You're also going to need a scanned copy of the lease or deed to the property which is being used for your dealership. You'll need a scanned copy of any facts pertaining to any criminal history of any officer or partner on the license application. You'll need a scanned copy of any court papers that verify the adjudication, dismissal, or decision made regarding any criminal history of any person on the license. You're also going to need a scanned copy of your dealer educational course certificate of completion, which you'll get when you have viewed this entire course. If you log on to the e-licensing system without all of the information that you see here on the screen in your manual, you will not be able to apply for your license. So you want to make sure and gather up all this documentation when you're applying, and that way you'll be able to just submit that application over the course of just a few minutes. So I'm going to show you how to apply for your independent general distinguishing number, which, this is going to be your dealer's license. Applying for your independent general distinguishing number does take several steps through the e-licensing system. You're going to be guided through the entire automated license application process. Some license types will require additional information for that specific license. You will also be required to upload several of the scanned documents that we've covered previously. All information that you submit must be correct and maintained through the entire licensure period. For example, you may not state that you have the minimum amount of office furniture that's required by state law and then remove the required office furniture. You can't do that. You must maintain all requirements during your entire licensure period. If you're not able to complete the entire application process at one time, you're going to be able to save this application, and then you can finish the application, at the place you left off at a later date. Before submitting your application through the e-licensing system, you must register an account with at least one user that's going to be known as the administrator. So normally you, as one of the principals, will be the administrator to this system. When using the e-licensing system, it's recommended that you use Google Chrome as your web browser. I want to repeat that. When using the e-licensing system, staff recommends that you use Google Chrome as your web browser because some functions may not work correctly if you're using Microsoft Explorer or Microsoft Edge or some other web browser. If you do not have Google Chrome installed on your computer, by the way, it's free, you might want to pause this training course, download Google Chrome browser, and then start the course again, and also with your application process. On the next few pages, you're going to see a condensed version of the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles e-licensing user guide for independent general distinguishing number licenses. You know, I want to encourage you to download the entire licensing manual, and there's also some great videos that you'll be able to view as well. But, you know, if you need to download any of these manuals, you can certainly do it at texasdealers.com. Just scroll down to the bottom of the front page there and click on Texas Dealer Manuals, and you can download the entire e-licensing manual that has been printed up by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. But it's pretty self-explanatory here, and you can always review these videos after class as well. First, though, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to register a new account with eLicensing, and then we'll submit our GDN application. So in a Google Chrome web browser, just type in txdmv.gov, okay? And then you're going to press, obviously, the Enter key. And on the first screen there, on the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles homepage, at the very top left there, click on the Dealers tab. And then on the next page, over here to the right, on the dealer's page, you're going to click that e-licensing icon. See the one that's been circled there? So reach over there to the right-hand side of the screen, click on e-licensing. And the first thing you want to do is carefully read the security warning pop-up that displays over the login page. And you'll need to read that. And then you'll click the green Accept button. And on the login page from here, we're going to need to click the register button. So don't forget to create a username and password here. And then you're going to click the register button. On the pop-ups that's displayed on the next screen, you're going to click the next button. And right here, you're going to see the register organization page. So down here at the far bottom right, you're going to need to click on the Create Organization and New User Account area here to the bottom right. So you're going to click that green Select button right there. And on the top of the Create Account page, first thing you're going to do is enter your first and last name, email address, and your phone number there. Make sure all that's accurate. You'll need to carefully read the information on this page at the bottom here. Okay, so make sure that you read all this information in its entirety. And when you have read all the information at the bottom of the page here, you're going to click, once again, the green Submit button. And what you'll also need to do is realize that we're going to be adding users to your e-licensing account. So, you know, something here, I want to bring your attention to this screen here. There's a lot of things that you're going to be able to do right here on this page. You know, once you've logged in, you can apply for a new license, which we'll do here in just a little bit. You can renew your license or amend a license. Over here to the left, you can click on My Saved Applications. So, you know, if you're using this system and need to stop to maybe gather up some more documents or something like that, you can save your application, and then you log right back in here and click on My Saved Applications, and you'll be able to start right where you left off. This shows you a list of your licenses, and you can actually print them up right there. Shows any enforcement cases that might be, you know, being prosecuted against your dealership. Hopefully that'll never happen, but it can. We'll cover that later on. You can close the license out. If for some reason you ever want to close this business, which I certainly hope that you don't, you need to make sure and close the actual license, and you may need to dissolve your corporation entity with the Secretary of State as well. Otherwise, you could face some future tax liability. So you can change the information, but what we're going to do right now is we're going to click on the Manage Account because, you know, at some time in the future, you might want to add users to your e-licensing account. Maybe you want to add a general manager that may be running your dealership for you, or maybe possibly you're going to add a trusted salesperson that's submitting your renewal application. So you're the administrator, but you can add subsequent users. So always remember that you are the one that has administrative access, and only you will determine who has access to your e-licensing account. So always do be aware of that. So when you click on manage there, it's going to walk you through very step-by-step here. And then what's going to happen is it's going to take you to your accounts page, okay? So right now you're on your accounts, and we're going to need to create an account, even when we're logging on here for the very first time. So you're basically creating your own user account, but later on, you could certainly add employees like I showed you there. But right now, we're going to add ourselves as an administrator, okay? So we're going to click right there on that blue button there, and then over to the green button. And so what we're going to be doing here is associating a new user, which in this case could actually be you. So you'll click that blue button there, and on the top of the create user page, you're going to need to make sure that you enter this information correctly. Put your first and last name, email address, and your user role. So don't forget to put that information in there. And then towards the bottom of the page, once again, you are going to have to read the liability statement. So some of this is repetitive the first time. You might be putting your name in here 2 or 3 different times and reading the account liability statement a couple of times. But once you've done that a couple of times, you'll click the green submit button at the bottom right there. And then what's going to happen, you're going to receive 3 separate emails from the Department of Motor Vehicles that are going to contain a username. One will contain a password, and then the login link to eLicensing. So you'll need to check your email. But like I said, you'll get 3 emails, one with the username, one with a password, and then one with a login link to eLicensing. So now that you are a registered user with eLicensing, you will be able to submit your online application for your general distinguishing number, for your dealer's license. So I'm going to show you this process here, but the independent general distinguishing number eLicensing application process is very automated, and it's going to take you step by step through the entire application process. So you are going to need to allow some time to complete the application, as it is quite extensive, and you must answer all questions accurately. You will also use the eLicensing after you've received your license to renew your dealer's license. You can amend or make changes to your dealer's license. You can order metal plates, or if you want to use the same metal plates, you can order additional expiration stickers when you're renewing. You can restart any application process that's not been completed, as I said earlier. You can always print up copies of your dealer's license. And remember, state law says the dealer license must be displayed prominently. So if for some reason something happened to your license on the wall, make sure and reprint a new original, and make sure and always display that prominently, because that is a state law. Remember, we've got to display our license prominently. You can review enforcement cases involving your dealership. You can close a license, as I said earlier, change your general license number, such as contact information. You can view protests and complaints. You can also pay any money that's owed and manage your eLicensing account. So now that we have an account, you can actually apply for your general distinguishing number right through the eLicensing system here. So access the eLicensing using the link from the emails that the TXDMV sent you right there. So you'll need to accept those terms. And on the login page, you're going to type in your username and your password. Remember, these were sent to you via email. And on the welcome page that's displayed right after logging into that account, you're going to click right here where it says applying for a new license. Okay, so after you receive your license, you can check the status of your applications, or if you have not received your license, maybe you've applied several weeks ago and you haven't gotten your license, there could be a problem with your application. So you can click here to the left and click on My Pending Applications. You can renew a license on the same screen as you see here, and over to the right, you can make changes to your license as well. So what we're going to be doing here in this scenario is we're going to be applying for a new dealer's license. So you're going to click the Apply for New License box right there. And on the license type page, you'll need to locate the GDN area there. So for this scenario, we're going to be applying for an independent general distinguishing number license. And you can also use this same page later on if you're going to apply for a salvage license or a lesser license. But we are going to be applying for an independent general distinguishing number license. So you'll click that blue box there over to the left. And on the organizations page, you'll select the organization name that's used to register this dealership. And then you're going to click the Save and Next button, okay? And on the contacts page, you're going to actually identify the persons that are going to be able to use this, and the MVD is going to be able to contact them. So you've got your application contact, you've got your license contact, that could be you, and down here at the very bottom, you're going to see the e-tag contact information. So Later on during this course, I'm going to show you this e-tag system. It's a little more technical in nature. So let's say, for example, maybe you're the principal owner and you're not real comfortable doing things on the internet. Maybe you've got a partner that's going to be doing all the online e-tag registrations for you as well. So, or if you want to, you can be the main contact point for all these, including contact application, the license contact, and the e-tag contact as well. So do whatever's convenient for you there. You're going to click the Save and Next button. And on the application reason page, you're going to select why you are applying for a dealer's license. So your choices would be applying for a new license, maybe you're relocating your license, or you've got some type of business entity change. Maybe you're going from a limited liability partnership to a limited liability corporation. You would have to let the state know about that. Maybe a previous license was not reviewed. So most of us are going to select that top choice there where it says apply for new license. Okay, so you're going to click the Save and Next button. And on the GDN types page, this is your general distinguishing number license type page. So we're going to select the type of GDN that we're applying for from the list. So if you're going to be selling motor vehicles and motorcycles, you're going to need to apply for separate GDNs. So in that scenario, first you would apply, say, for example, for your motor vehicle GDN, and then you'll need to revisit this page and reapply for your motorcycle GDN. Okay, but if you're just selling motor vehicles, it would take one license. But remember, we have to have separate licenses for every single one of these categories that you see right here on the GDN types page. So let's say we're going to be, for this scenario, let's say we're going to be a motor vehicle dealer. So we would select motor vehicle, and then we're going to click the Save and Next green button at the right there. And at the top portion of this application details page, you can enter your website if applicable. You do not have to have a website, but obviously most of us do anymore. You're going to put your official dealership number, your email, and your Secretary of State filing number. And we'll cover how to obtain your Secretary of State filing number later on in the course. You'll need to enter next the physical address of your dealership. A P.O. box is not allowed to serve as your official dealership address. It must be a physical address. You must conduct all business from this address unless you have a license at, say, for example, another location. So you're going to enter your address, and then you'll click the Validate Address button. If for some reason this address is not recognized by the United States Postal Service, you're going to need to upload a scanned statement by your post office to state that mail can be delivered to your address. So just after that, you'll enter your assumed name, which is what you're doing business as, if applicable. And we're going to cover assumed names later in the course, so you'll be very familiar with that. If you're not sure what to enter, you can always save your application, and you can restart at this section anytime in the future. Just save your application and restart at a later date if you don't have all your documentation. You'll also enter your mailing address. If you want all your official Texas Department of Motor Vehicle correspondence mailed to your dealership, just check same as physical. But if you want your official TXDMV mail forwarded, then you can enter a mail forwarding address here, and then you'll have to validate that address as well. So you're going to click the green Save and Next button. If you operate any additional locations in the same city, which are what we call supplemental locations, you're going to need to enter that information here. If you do not have any supplemental locations, then you'll just check None, and then click Save and Next. Next, you're going to be able to order your metal dealer plates, which we're going to discuss in greater detail later on in the course. The fee per metal plate is $90. So you'll need to check yes if you want metal plates or no if you do not. If you are ordering metal plates, you may select a quantity of plates that you're ordering. And when we're applying for the first time, you're only allowed to order up to 2. So we'll cover that during our dealer metal license plate section later on in the course. So you're going to click Save and Next. Next, you're going to enter your ownership information. If the dealership is owned by one person, or maybe it's a general partnership, then you're going to need to provide personal information about the sole proprietor and all partners in the general partnership. If you're going to operate this dealership as a limited partnership, a limited liability partnership, a limited liability corporation, or a corporation, you must enter the legal business details and disclose whether the business is a nonprofit or if you're operating the business as a publicly traded entity. Information for the management personnel of the applicant entity must also be entered when you're filing as one of these types of business entities. So if you're operating the dealership as a sole proprietor or a general partnership, you'll click New Ownership on the individual ownership page, and then you would enter all information, including the ownership percentage. So if a dealership is owned by more than one person, the ownership percentage for all owners must always total 100%. So be sure to enter each owner's information in full, and then you would click the green Add button. If you're operating the dealership as a limited partnership, a limited liability partnership, a limited liability corporation, or a corporation, you'll need to click New Ownership on the business ownership page and then enter all information, including the ownership percentage. So enter your employment identification number, and I'm going to show you how to get your employment identification number a little bit later in the course on the IRS website. Very simple to do. You'll enter your ownership percentage, check whether or not the dealership is a not-for-profit, and then you would select whether or not the business is a publicly traded business entity. If the dealership is publicly traded or owned by another corporate entity, you would automatically be taken to a management information page at this time. So we're going to click the Add button. And then you're going to need to select whether any officer, director, partner, trustee, or other person with the dealership has been arrested for any offense that is still pending. So if a partner's been arrested over a pending offense, you'll need to obviously notify the Texas DMV about that situation. Then you'll select whether any person associated with this license has ever been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. Then you'll select whether any person associated with the dealership received a deferred adjudication for a felony or a misdemeanor. Then you'll select whether any person associated with the license has ever been court-martialed. Remember, all information must be correct. Any person who knowingly makes a false statement in connection with applying for or renewing a license may be subject to criminal prosecution. So you've got to make sure that all information is correct, not only for you, but for every other person that's on this license that you are representing as well. So make sure that information is true and accurate. You're going to click Save and Next. If you select yes on any criminal information, you're automatically going to be led to several pages of information where you can enter detailed information regarding the offenses and the charges. I want you to be aware that having a criminal history does not automatically reject your application. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicles will look at all offenses and charges on a case-by-case basis. Just be sure to enter all information truthfully and correctly. Next, select whether you are currently or previously served in the military. Select whether you have a license in another jurisdiction, such as a dealer's license in another state other than Texas. Then select whether you have had a dealer license in the state of Texas in the last 5 years. If you or your spouse currently serve in the military or are a military veteran, the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles will actually waive your dealer license fee, and they will expedite your application for quicker approval. You would still have to pay for your metal dealer plates, but a veteran does not have to pay for the actual dealer's license itself, just a way the state's supporting veterans. So if you do select yes, you're going to need to upload you or your spouse's current active duty orders or your DD-214 discharge paper. So if you've been discharged from the military, you're familiar with that form. So you would also, like I said, include the DD-214 discharge papers if you or a spouse is a veteran. Also, if you've held a Texas dealer's license in the last 5 years, or if you hold a dealer's license in another state, the Department of Motor Vehicles will expedite your application for quicker approval as well. If you select yes, you will need to submit your previous dealer license number or a copy of your current dealer's license from another state. So you're going to need to select whether you have an office at the license location in a building that has connecting exterior walls on all sides. Remember, that's a requirement. Your building must be an enclosed building. On the questions page, you will need to answer whether or not any person associated with the dealership has ever been issued a license to act in any capacity in the state of Texas by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. So you would enter any previous license information, if applicable, right there. And then you need to enter whether or not any person associated with the dealership has ever applied for a license at the same proposed location as on this license application. Select whether or not you have a permanent sign with the dealership name letters at least 6 inches high or larger and visible to the general public. Remember, wholesale Wholesale dealers must have a sign mounted on or near the main door and must have the name at least 2 inches high or larger. Select whether or not you will meet the minimum staffing requirements. Remember, retail dealers must be open at least 4 days a week, a minimum of 4 consecutive hours. Wholesale dealers must be open at least 2 days a week for a minimum of 2 consecutive hours. Select whether or not you own or lease the dealership. And remember, if you lease the dealership, the lease may never expire before your dealer's license expires. Select whether or not your proposed place of business meets all zoning requirements. So remember, you need to maintain zoning compliance at all times for the operation of a motor vehicle dealership. Select whether or not you have obtained all certificates of occupancy to operate a business at the proposed location. If you are not going to obtain a certificate of occupancy at the proposed location, you can contact your city or planning and zoning for further instructions. Select whether or not the location is located within a residence, apartment house, motel, or rooming house, which is prohibited. Select whether or not you or anyone associated with the dealership has ever been disciplined for violations of the Texas Occupations Code. So you need to let the state know about that. Select whether or not the dealership has an office with at least 1 desk, at least 2 chairs, a telephone listed with your number, and internet access. So remember, the office area and office equipment may not be shared with another business. So then they're going to select whether or not any motor vehicle manufacturer or distributor has any ownership interest in the dealer license being applied for. Select whether or not your display area has enough space to adequately display at least 5 vehicles. Remember, that's going to be the minimum lot size requirements. So make sure and check that accordingly. Now you're going to be required to upload several documents through the eLicensing system. So you're going to need to make sure that you have the following documents scanned to your computer. We'll be able to easily upload those in just a couple of moments. You need to have proof of identity for each person on the license, and that can be a driver's license, passport, state-issued ID card, a U.S. Armed Forces ID card for each person, like I said, on the license application. Assumed name certificate. So this is required if you're operating your dealership as a sole proprietor or a general partnership, and this document's filed with the Secretary of State. Certificate of incorporation is going to be required if you're operating your dealership as a limited partnership, as a limited liability partnership, as a limited liability corporation, or a corporation. And this document also is filed with Secretary of State. Any criminal court records regarding criminal history, if applicable. And don't forget, you are also going to have your official certificate of completion that you will receive once you have completed your entire pre-license training course. Okay, so you can't get that until you have viewed the entire course. So you cannot renew your license. Also, if you've been licensed less than a certain amount of period without completing that the course as well. So you're going to be able to scan that certificate of completion onto your computer and print it up for your records at the very end of this dealer training course. So it's very automated, and you'll be able to do that at the end of the course. Any additional documents that are required by the Department of Motor Vehicles. So on the attachments page right here, you're going to click the Browse button. So you're going to be able to then easily locate all those docs that you need to upload, and you can open those and click them right there automatically. And then when the name of the file appears on the appropriate attachments page, just scroll to the bottom of the page and you're going to click that upload button. And you're going to do that for all these records here, so including your assumed name certificate. You're also going to do it, with any type of Secretary of State filings for corporate business entities. And there at the bottom, you would be able to upload any criminal court records if you or any partners have any type of criminal history. And then you'll also be given the opportunity to upload any additional documents. And at this time, if there are problems with your application, you're going to be shown a screen that displays problems with your application. So to return to the page on which the issue can be resolved, you can just click the revisit button and make the correction. And then you'll be able to click save and next button as many times as it takes to return to this page. To skip making fixes at this time, you can click the next button to display the summary page. And in many instances, the problems may cause the application approval to be delayed. But hopefully, I'm hoping here for you, if there are no problems, then you're going to be able to be taken to this extensive summary page. And here you're going to see on your screen the divided summary page here. When you're applying, you'll actually see a much longer overview of the application that you're getting ready to submit to the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles. be sure to print a copy of your application for your files. But you really want to spend some time here on this page. Make sure that everything is true. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. Make sure everything looks correct. Double check this page, triple check this page, quadruple check this page to make sure that everything is true and accurate, not only for you, but also for each person whose name is listed on this application. So after saving the summary, you're going to be prompted for a page where you're going to have to enter your first name. You're going to have to enter your social security number. And in order to electronically verify who you are enabled to electronically agree to the certificate of responsibility and submit your signature for this application. So I'm going to show you this here in just a moment. If you cannot provide this information, such as a driver's license, or if you don't currently have a driver's license or use some type of alternative identification, then you'll need to provide your first and last name, and we'll work with a printed version of a certificate of responsibility that'll be automated here. And I'll show you that here in just a moment. So that would be for driver's licenses from another state from other than Texas, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to enter our manual signature submission. If you do not have a valid Texas driver's license or the system cannot verify your information, the system will display an error message and a new section on the page will pop up to allow you to print the certificate of responsibility, which I'll show you here in just a moment. You must print and sign that certificate of responsibility and scan it onto your computer if the state cannot locate your Texas driver's license. Okay, so on this screen, you would enter your first name, last name, social security number, the driver's license issuing state, your date of birth, and your driver's license number. Okay, so if you have a Texas driver's license number, on the next screen, you can just enter your audit number there at the very bottom, click Save and Next. So if you have an audit number, it's basically on a Texas driver's license, then you're going to see now what's called a certificate of responsibility page, okay? So what you want to do is spend a little time here on this page, carefully read the terms and conditions, and then you'll click the I agree button. And there towards the bottom, you're going to click the Sign Here field, and you'll type your full legal name, and then you're going to scroll up to the very back to the very top and click Finish and Submit. So I want to remind you, that's the form that you're going to have. Normally, if you have a Texas driver's license or something that the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles has been able to verify. Now, if it does not bring this screen up and it cannot validate a driver's license, or if you're using an out-of-state driver's license or some other type of verification of identity, then instead you're going to be taken to a different page, okay? And on this page, what you can do right here is you're going to be able to print and sign and upload this certificate of responsibility, and this is all going to be automated, okay? So you'll fill this information out right here, and then you'll be able to automatically print up what's called a certificate of responsibility, and you would date that, print your name, sign it, and put your title. Maybe you're the principal owner, okay? And this is the form you would fill out if you don't have a Texas driver's license or if the system cannot verify. So you would print this up, then you're going to sign it and scan this original right back onto your computer, and then click Save and Next, and then you would have to upload that. Okay, so that's basically your proof of identity there. Okay, so right after that, you are going to be directed to the state's secure payment portal in just a moment. But before that, you're going to be able to see all the breakdown of all the charges that you're getting ready to be charged for your application, for your dealer's license. So check this page pretty extensively here. Make sure all the information is correct. You're going to see the fees there. And when you're ready, at the very bottom there, the bottom right, you're going to click that Proceed to Pay button. And so you're going to enter all the associated information there that's going to match your credit card. And this is a secure system, so it's going to be very, very automated, by the way. So, you can either pay the fees that are just associated with this application, or maybe you are applying for multiple licenses. So, on the payment summary page, you're going to be able to select what type of applications that you're actually applying for here. And then on the next page, you click Proceed to Pay. And then what you're going to be able to do is enter your credit card information here. And then once again, you're going to see an overview of the payment. And down there towards the bottom, you'll need to enter that verification of series numbers and letters to ensure that you're an actual person, and not, some like internet robot, trying to steal credit card numbers off of the state's website. Okay, so, and then here, you're going to see, after you've submitted that your application was submitted. Now you have submitted your official application for your Texas General Distinguishing Number. So congratulations. So, at any time after your dealer's license application was submitted, you can check the application status just by logging right on to the eLicensing system here. And what you'll be able to do, you can actually jump right on here and click your application number into the application number box. So you'll definitely be able to do that and check your application status. If some reason and you've went several weeks and haven't received any notification or emails from the Department of Motor Vehicles, there could be a problem with your application. But you can always check enter your application number there and click submit, and it'll tell you the status or if there are any delays. So you can also use eLicensing, to order replacement plates and stickers for your dealer plates. You can view your saved applications. Like I said earlier, you can print your dealer license up if you need copies. You can view enforcement cases that involve your dealership. You can close or terminate your license. You can change general information such as contact information. You can view protests and complaints against your dealership. You can make payments. And as I showed you earlier, you can give your employees access to your account, such as a salesperson or a general manager. So congratulations. You have just completed the first unit of your Texas Dealer Training course. And, at the end of each unit, we're going to do a quick review of what we've learned in each unit. So hopefully you'll be following along. So in Unit 1, we've learned the steps that are necessary to apply for a dealer's license. We've talked about criminal history, your business billing, and your display area. Remember, you've got to submit that dealer surety bond. You're going to have a sign and maintain regular business hours. We're going to be starting a huge paper trail and maintain records. And I've got an extensive list of records later on in the course. We're going to register our name with the Secretary of State. And if you're offering credit or third-party financing, we're going to register that name with the OCCC. And I'll show you how to do that in a little while as well. We're going to complete that I-9 employment eligibility form. I'm going to show you a little bit how easy it is to obtain your employment identification number. Remember, you've got to take your pre-license training course. And once you've completed those steps, you can easily submit your application at the eLicensing system that I just showed you just a couple of moments ago. I will also want you to be aware that you can review each unit in this training course simply by visiting texasdealers.com, then scroll down and click on the Texas Dealer Videos link at any time. And on this page, you will easily be able to view all the training videos that are included in your course. Posting the videos on texasdealers.com website makes it very easy for you to review all the training courses that we cover at any time after you have completed your training course.